Good morning. My name is Monica. For the webinar Back to Basics, Protect Sensitive Information and Files, and we're going to go ahead and get started with Stacy Villano. Stacy?
Good morning. Welcome to today's webinar, Back to Basics, Protect Sensitive Emails and Files. As Monica mentioned, this is Stacy Villano, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications here at the Independent Insurance Agents and Brokers of New Jersey. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to join us. This presentation is being brought to you by DataMotion, a leading provider of email and file encryption solutions and partner of IABNJ. We at DataMotion to be here today to speak with you about the risks of sending sensitive information, such as policies with Social Security numbers, through email, and to give you an overview of their product to show you how it can help you send and receive secure email communications with your clients. Presenting our webinar today is Pete Cafarcio, Vice President of Business Development at DataMotion. Pete has served many roles over the past 20 years to successfully launch multiple company and product lines. Before coming to DataMotion in 2008, Pete was the Director of Business Development Worldwide Channel Strategy at CA Inc. After that, he helped build Pest Patrol Inc., a successful anti-spyware company. Pete also served in sales and product management functions at True Secure Corporation and established the development office for a nonprofit charity. There's plenty of time available for Q&A at the end of our presentation this morning. To ask a question at any time, please just ask that in the chat bar on the right-hand side of your screen. This session is also being recorded and will be made available to you in the coming days. If you have any difficulty reading or viewing any of the slides, please click the enlarge slide button located below the presentation screen. If you have any technical difficulties with the webcast, please call the WebEx technical support number, which is 866-293-3239. I'll pass things off to Pete.
And welcome, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the fundamentals of why regular email is not secure and some of the risks that go along with that. We'll talk about some different approaches to securing email, what you want to look for in a solution to do that. We'll show you a little bit about the DataMotion Secure Mail product, and then we want to have some time at the end for questions and answers. But before we get started, we just have a general question. Monica?
Yes, we have a whole question to ask you, and you can answer by typing in the chat window in the lower right side of your pane. The question is, what specific situation or concern is sparking your interest for encrypting email? Why were you interested in attending this event today?
Okay, and I'll just continue on. Feel free to type those answers in, and we'll get around to addressing some of your issues here. So here's a core issue that you need to understand. For most of us, when we think about email security, we think about the security of our email client or the device we're using to send email. For instance, your mobile device, there's a lot of attention on the security of mobile devices, or I'm a remote worker, I've got to make sure I have a secure connection with my corporate server or with my ISP. And on the slide here, you'll see that's addressing this issue here, which is your connection with the primary email server. Maybe your organization has an email server, or maybe you're using a hosted service, and that is important to get those connections secured. And on the recipient side, they have the same concerns. So as they receive their email, is that secure? And that's most of the attention is brought on this issue and what people tend to think about. However, that's really part of the story, and it kind of leaves a big gap, because the issue really is after it leaves the server. Again, that could be your own server or maybe hosted by your ISP, but in reality what happens is an email then gets routed through the internet, usually all over the place, and I think an average of about 8 different times before it winds up at the recipient point, and those connections are oftentimes not secured. Sometimes those messages reside on a server and an administrator could read those. The analogy we like to use is it's kind of like a postcard. When you send a postcard through the mail, it will get to the recipient okay? However, anyone along the way could read the back of that postcard. Okay, that's the way email is. It will get to where it's going. It's secure between you and the sending server, but along the way, it's going all over the internet. And that it's recognized by security experts and internet protocol experts that email is not a secure protocol, that it can be hacked and it can be viewed. And so there are a number of industry regulations that have come out to address that, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay. So this next slide, I'm not going to go through all the details, but there are so many rules now that have come out to protect information. Depending on industry you're dealing with. In financial industry, there's a broad category called PCI, or payment card industry, Sarbanes-Oxley, Gramm-Leach-Bliley. In healthcare, many of us are familiar with HIPAA, which is getting more teeth into it and it's stricter. A number of states have their own rules. For instance, Massachusetts and Nevada have very strict rules about personal information. And there's just a lot of privacy concerns too, and more rules and regulations are coming out. I'll go into the details, but essentially what they say is if the email contains personally identifiable information, some common ones that you'll see are like social security numbers, credit card numbers, income with someone's name and address, that information cannot be sent over the internet through regular email. It needs to be encrypted, or you can't send it via regular email. That's essentially what most of these regulations say. You cannot send that kind of information through regular email. So that applies to policy applications and just a number of communications that are sent. Many of us also, we to use email because fax is the other thing that we lean on to try to get this done. But fax isn't very secure either, right? You can receive a fax on the other side, the recipient, and it's just sitting on their machine. It could have a lot of private information, and their coworkers could be getting to that, or maybe the recipient or your client doesn't have a fax machine. It just makes things difficult. So we'd like to use email, but again, the sensitive information cannot go out via regular email. Okay, so why should you do that? We just talked about some regulatory compliance. Also for just general security reasons, you shouldn't be doing this. If someone gets to this email or hacks it along the way, you're going to be leaking your customer's data, or privacy issues could be coming up there, and you could be at risk for litigation. Certainly your reputation, if your organization is not handling client data well, and you've been found to be the source of the leak, your reputation could be at risk. That can turn to financial issues like a fine if you break a regulation, or someone could come after you just for litigation costs. Some of the negative reasons why you should protect yourself in encrypted email, but there's some very positive reasons as well. And I don't have a slide on this, but it's important. Some positive reasons is you can actually cut costs by using email encryption. If you add up the costs associated with fax per toner, if you're doing a lot of FedEx or other courier services, overnight things, because you want that security and you want it to be done quickly, you could be using email encryption because it'll get there instantly, and you will have proof that the message was received by the intended recipient, and you'll have a record of that. So just cutting out your overnight costs alone can actually save money or lower your overall your cost. And there's also a little more intangible benefit, and that is your recipients will get a sense that you are proactively caring for them and looking out for the privacy. If they get an encrypted email message from you, and there's a little bit more, there's a window around that, or a sense of, hey, it's not regular email, this is a special email because I'm looking out for your privacy. It's like, oh, that guy's got my back, or that my agent is looking out for me, and I'm glad they're doing this because it's my privacy and my security is important to them, and so that'll help you retain customers and just your overall perception and reputation with them will be increased. We actually have some banks that that's one of their biggest issues. They have moved into encrypted email just to reduce the churn of losing customers and having to acquire new customers. When they use email encryption, they find that their customer base sticks with them longer because of the natural security, but the perception that the bank is looking out for them and guarding their sensitive information. What are your options when it comes to encrypting email? The first is do nothing, and I have to put that in there because that's 50% of people, they know the risks, and it's kind of bury your head in the sand, cross your fingers, hope you don't get caught type of a thing. And you know, with that voice, I highly discourage that. And on issues like HIPAA and some of the PCI regulations that are out there, usually we could think, hey, I'm not a large organization, so I'm not going to be a target for litigation, or I'm not going to be a target for fines. And that's really changing, especially if you do anything with health information. So now you don't need to be working with care providers, but if there's any health-related information that passes through your hands, new regulations around HIPAA there's a new concept out there called a business associate or a business associate agreement, meaning if you're anywhere in the chain of communication of that data and you handle it, you could be liable. So it's kind of like a warning ring of liability that's happening. And in fact, that's all going to be kicking in September of this year. So you really want to stay ahead of the curve and make sure that you've got some tools in place. Some folks using password-protected zip files. That, of course, is not easy to use because now you have to protect and zip the file, send it to your client. Then you have to send a separate email with the password. And if their account's been compromised, of course, somebody could get the password. But second, that's not an easy-to-use type of solution. Some people ask, well, doesn't Outlook have email encryption? I've clicked around on Outlook's options, and I see this thing for email encryption or digital certificates. It only works if you have your own digital certificate. And I don't want to get into the details of that, but it's really not a simple thing if you're not tech savvy. And the recipient or the person you want to exchange email with also needs one as well. And Biogen has not been widely adopted. Outlook does accommodate that if people are exchanging encryption keys, but it's not been widely adopted. So most people that are interested in email encryption go to this fourth option, and they want to use a cloud-based service. That's what DataMotion offers, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. Okay, some best practices if you're going to do email encryption. Importance is it needs to be easy to use. If it's not easy to use, you or your employees won't use it, and your recipients, they could get confused, they could miss getting the email, it could be viewed hassle. So there are always a couple extra steps involved with email encryption as far as the user experience, but if it's got straightforward and not complicated. So that's an important thing to look for when you're looking for a solution. File attachments and the way the solution handles those is also very important. I know that in the insurance industry, oftentimes you're asking people to supply supporting information or documents, and so those come through as file attachments. Some solutions handle those pretty well, some don't, and they can get pretty clumsy. Also, you might want to consider how does a solution handle a file that's normally too big for internet email. Like it might be more than 5 megabytes, more than 10 megabytes. Some ISPs limit that, and you can find a solution. A DataMotion solution will allow you to send up to 100 megabytes, and it'll be okay because it doesn't use the email protocols to send that. More on that later. You want to look for a solution that has logging of the activity that's gone through the account and can track the status of these email messages. That might not always seem important while sending the messages, but it's great to have a record. And if someone's lawyer gets a hold of something and say, well, you never sent them this information. Well, I want a solution that you can go back and say, you know what, I did, and here's proof. I have proof that I sent it on this date, and I also have proof that they opened it at this date and time, and I can even prove that they accessed the files that were attached. That's something you want to look for in a solution, and DataMotion offers that. Mobile is very big now. I think the latest stat is 70% of people check their email on their mobile device. They don't always compose, but they're always looking at it. And so you want a solution that integrates easily with mobile devices. A solution that will allow your users or say your clients to initiate an encrypted email inbound to you. Always just waiting for you to reply to your messages, but that's something that they can start that secured email exchange with you. And lastly, you want a solution that is going to allow you to maintain your normal business processes. It's not going to hijack the way you already do business, and it can tie in with some of your existing workflows. Okay, I'm about to go into talking about the DataMotion solution, but I'm just wondering if we want to just stop here and see if we're okay with the material so far. If there's any questions conceptually about some of the things that I've covered.
If you have a question, you can type it in the chat box on the left side of your screen.
Just a few more, about a half a minute, and if not, we'll continue on. Okay, feel free to still type questions, as we'll have a time of Q&A at the end, but we'll continue on here. So we'll talk to you about DataMotion solution, which we call Secure Mail, and we're going to be talking about our desktop version. If you're an organization of 50 users or more, we also have a gateway solution that would filter all of the email coming out of your organization, check for policies, but it's from what we've surmised here, really, I think we're going to focus more on the desktop solution, which is really identified for individuals. So this is we're making this available to all the IAAB and J members at a discount. And what this is it's an intuitive service. It's a cloud-based service, and it's an easy-to-use thing that just trades in with your desktop and automatically encrypt sensitive emails. So you don't need to manage any encryption keys on this. We handle all of that, and it's an intuitive service. So you really don't even have to read the instructions, but there are instructions available and for guidance on how to access the email. And it's also the other nice thing about this is you don't need to, like say you have a client that hasn't used Secure Mail before. You don't need to tell them about it ahead of time. You don't need to train them, and you don't even need to set up their account. DataMotion handles auto provisioning or will automatically set up those recipient accounts, and by the nature of or the virtue of you sending them that message. When you send a message, we're going to set up an account for them, and I'll show you a screen on how that works, and then they can go get it, and you don't have to worry about managing that recipient experience. I mentioned a little bit about reporting and monitoring, and so you can always track what the status of your messages is. Maybe a client, you've sent them one or two secure messages, and you can tell they're just not opening these up. Well, that would be a great flag for you to just give them a call and say, hey, what's going on? They say, oh, I never check my email, so don't send it to me that way. I'd rather get it in the mail, and so that's great. File attachments with the solution that we're offering to IAA, BNJ members, we automatically handle file attachments up to 100 megabytes. So maybe you're not always concerned just about the privacy, but you just have a large file you need to get from one place to the other. You can use this solution to do that. And if you have huge files, you can expand that up to 2 gigabytes. The solution is device agnostic, meaning you can run this on your laptop, on your desktop, on your mobile device, on your tablet, whatever, and still access the account from multiple different sources. And of course, highly secure. It uses industrial strength encryption, and a lot of the compliance regulations dictate certain levels of encryption, and we exceed that in most cases. Okay, so I'll just show you a couple screenshots. Now, what I show you here is if you are using Outlook, if you're using Outlook as your email client, we have a special plugin that go right into the top ribbon bar, and if you'll see that here's a compose message screen, and normally you just have the send button, that stays there, but we through our plugin, there'll be a new button that will pop above that, and if you want to send this email encrypted, you just click that button that says send secure, and we'll encrypt it, and it'll go just like regular email, but it'll be encrypted along the way. And what your recipient is going to get is an email that'll come right to their inbox. It'll say it's from you, and the subject line will be exactly the same, but the body has been replaced by this. It's got a link here where they can click to go receive the message, and there's instructions if they want to read on. But at the beginning, it's like, here's your message, click that message, or click that, and then they're going to be taken to the DataMotion portal where we have already set up an account for them. They will enter a password that they create. This is their account. The account's already set up. They create a password. If they forget their password, they can reset it on their own. They don't need to come back to you. You don't need to send them a password. You don't need to reset their password. It's all auto handled. If they have a problem or if they have a question, they're going to contact DataMotion support where we'll assist them. You don't need to worry about managing any of this for your end users. There's a Remember Me button, so they don't need to constantly type in their password in the future. And then once they do, they're taken to an inbox, and it's much like a webmail client, kind of like Gmail. And the messages will be there, and they'll see file attachments. They can just click to open that message and read it. If there's file attachments, they can download those files from that point. And if they want to reply back to you, they can do that as well. It's really that simple. I mentioned that it's important to integrate with mobile devices. Probably most people on the call are using mobile devices for your email. The two ways we handle that, just showed you on those previous screenshots were some screens from the DataMotion web portal of how we handle email. If you're ever viewing that on a mobile device, we optimize that view, meaning we use large fonts, we cut out some of the detailed information that isn't needed. It just kind of resizes to fit your mobile device, so you don't have to squint and you don't have to enlarge, browser pane or anything. It's very simple. You think you'll be using this on a regular basis, you can set up a new account. Like for me on my iPhone, I have my corporate email account. I also have a Gmail account as a separate email account on my device, and Data Secure Mail can be yet another account that you can set up. So there's not an app that you need to install. You just set up yet another account. We have instructions on how to do that. You can compose your messages and receive the answers right in that account, and it'll all look like it'll be scrambled or encrypted. You don't have to press extra buttons or enter any passwords. It's just automatically secured, send and receive, and it'll all be right there on your device. Okay. There is another feature that we have that comes included with this service. We call it Secure Contact Me, and this is the feature I mentioned a little earlier, that you can have your customers or partners, vendors, anyone that if you want them to start an encrypted email and initiate that inbound to you, what we have is the link. Now, this is customized to each individual account, so you'll go to our website and you'll get this customized link. I have this in my email signature block. I just this link. It says send me a secure message if they need to, and you can do the same. And if someone clicks that, it'll take them to the DataMotion portal, and there'll be a box where they can type in their message and attach any files that they need to, and it'll only be routed to you. So they use this to launch and send messages to other people. It'll only come inbound to you, and then you'll get that message decrypted as it comes to you, and that's a way for them to upload. Maybe you needed some supporting documentation, or I don't know, a birth certificate, some things like that could be sensitive. That's a great way for them to send you that information. And then if you need to reply to them, you're now in a secure encrypted email chat dialogue or a thread, and you can talk back and forth with them on that. Okay. I see we have some questions coming in, which is great. But just want to mention, here's a link. If you go through that link, you can get that discount. You get 20% off of the list price for secure mail. And DataMotion, we are a New Jersey-based company. We're up here in Morristown, New Jersey. We're in our 14th year of business, and we've been very strong in, not surprisingly, in regulated industries like insurance and financial services, healthcare, and then quite a bit of state and local government business as well. We do encryption, which I've spoken about. We also handle file transfer and some electronic forms for e-commerce type scenarios. And what I've shared is our cloud-based solution for some of our larger customers. We also can do on-premise software as well, and building up quite a significant sized user base. Okay, some of our customers, and just to tell you, we've been in business 14 years. We pass audits on our data centers in the cloud, highly secure. We're used by some global banks and like the UK national government and corporations. So we've been through quite a bit of due diligence and testing on our security. Here's a contact information. If you'd like to purchase, or if you have other questions, you can reach out to Christian Grunkemeyer. My name is Pete, but Christian's the guy who's going to help you on any account questions here. But let's go to see some of the questions that we have here.
We do have some questions coming in, Pete. One is this: will this work on a terminal server for remote users? Is the add-in installed by a remote user or once on the terminal server?
Yeah, we do support terminal services like Citrix and others. And if you reach out to Christian, he can get you more information on that. And we could also have a sales engineer show you, even on a demo, how that might work. But we have several customers that use this in a terminal services environment. And in that case, it doesn't need to be, the button does not need to be deployed on every desktop. You can do it in the one instance and have it replicated.
Okay. Next question. Encryption is important, but I'm having difficulty getting management to sign off on the budget. Any suggestions?
Yes. And that, by the way, that's a common question that we get. You can take two angles on this, and I actually suggest both angles. The first is the fear angle, and just highlight for them, we are at risk. We're putting our customers at risk. We can be fined. We could lose, the confidence of our customers if something gets breached. If you use the DataMotion website, or if you subscribe to our Twitter feed, actually that's probably an excellent idea. Subscribe to our Twitter feed or look us up on LinkedIn. We often, every week, we're posting high-profile stories of data breaches, and they're not always, retailers like TJ Maxx that get hacked. These can be small hospitals, it can be small business offices that got hacked, and the consequences that come from that. So you can use that as supporting material to show people, your management, this happens, and we have to watch out for it. That's an angle. The second angle, though, is to highlight for them the cost cutting. If you send a lot of overnight courier like FedEx, that gets very expensive. If you could use the solution to pay for 3 or 4 FedEx and cut that out, you've already paid for the solution. Cut back on fax, eliminating those costs, and then improving your user experience and their trust level with you. So it kind of shows senior management both of those things. Where if we don't do this, and here's some good positive reasons why we should do it. Okay. Questions into the Q&A window. I think we've got another one, Micah.
Yeah. You talk about how a recipient can communicate back securely with secure mail. Do we have extra licenses to do this? Okay,
that's a really good question. DataMotion's licensing model is based on what we call a registered user or a full user. That's what our offer is to IAB and J members, where you're going to discount. You are the full user. Your recipients are all the service for free. It doesn't matter how many you send to as well. I mean, you could have a couple hundred people you send messages to, they always get it for free, and they can reply back to your messages. And they can also initiate that inbound message with that secure contact me function. So they can use the service that way. What we do limit is that we don't give them free use to send messages all over the place and use it like a full user. It's kind of controlled. But no, you don't have to buy extra licenses for your recipients. They get that for free.
Okay, question. Why do I use this instead of certificates from VeriSign or PGP for securing my email?
So I mentioned that a little bit before. If you're going to use digital certificates or encryption keys, what's required is that the recipient that you're sending it to also has a key that they can share with you. And I think you'll find that just very few of the people that you do business with have one of those. It just has not been widely deployed. DataMotion still uses encryption keys, but we handle all that behind the scenes. And what we use is that password authentication when people log into their accounts in order to manage security on it. So you could go that route, but you'll just find very few people can exchange messages with you if they don't have a PGP key to share with you.
Okay. Another question. I know you talked about mobile. Our employees are increasingly using smartphones to send and receive email. Can you use this on those smartphones to secure the email?
Yeah, certainly. I showed a slide on that. You can definitely. It's smartphone friendly. That's one of the reasons people really love the product. Is there's no hiccups, there's no app to install. They can just use their smartphone. If it goes to a web browser, it's a nice big, easy to read web browser. And if they want to, an account right on their phone, that can happen as well. I'm wondering if people can just maybe indicate by either typing in or maybe I think you can do a hand raise on this. For the people, how important is that? Mobile device integration for you, or do you have other specific questions on that? Because I know it's one of the top questions we get from our other customers and prospects that we speak with. They want to know all about it. I see Rick has his hand raised. Okay, mobile.
John, yep, mobile is important.
Okay. And Rick, that you had your hand there too. Are there specific questions? One of the best things to do is just get a trial account and use it on your mobile device, see how it works. And again, remember what we were showing you earlier, a lot of attention, I think I'm going to just go right back to that slide. A lot of attention is given to the security when we talk about mobile, the security between your mobile device and the web server. It is important, but you need the messages actually need to be encrypted, because when they travel through the rest of the internet, just like any other emails that you send, that's where the biggest risk is. Okay, so make sure that you've got a solution that isn't only focused on the mobile aspect of it, but it's really encrypting end to end.
Okay, more questions for you. Yep, you just see another one? Oh, yes.
Insurance agents do you have as clients? Any insurance companies as clients? So good question, Mike. I'm sorry, I don't have an exact count for you on number of agencies, but insurance companies definitely. Guardian Life Insurance is one. Sun Life Assurance is one. So those are really large. They're like 50,000 users that are using our solution, and we have a number of smaller insurance brokers. It can be individuals, smaller ops, and then another significant category for us is third-party administrators, benefits administrators, payroll administrators. They handle insurance information. They're not underwriting, but they're not processing policies, but they're handling insurance information. It's actually, I would say, if you add up all of our insurance and if I throw TPAs in there, that's probably about 15 to 20% of our user base. So it's a significant portion. So Answers your question, but yeah, insurance is definitely an important category for us. What other questions coming in here, Monica?
Yeah. Is your service the only one recommended? Okay. Insurance companies?
Or the
IABNJ. I'm sorry. Okay, I got it now.
I'd probably refer to Stacy on that one, but as far as I know, this is the only one that we've arranged a discount for.
Steve, you want to address that question?
DataMotion is the endorsed provider for the BI, so they are the only provider right now that we work with and have this partnership with. If you do visit our website, iabnj.org, under Member Resources, Endorsed Products and Services, you will find them. And you can link to them as well if you don't remember the information from this webinar.
Great. Question we had, Pete, was we have a lot of concerns about cloud security. How do I ensure the cloud is also safe?
Okay, if you want to do some investigation, or maybe you've got one of your IT guys is real strong in security and is a skeptic, which is a good thing in a security guy. Have them talk to Christian again. We have reports that show that our cloud data center is audited on a regular basis, and it passes all of the industry standard audits of the way we handle your data. We can tell you which encryption keys we use, different things. That is a good question on cloud services. But depending on the level of detail and information you want, we can provide that. But I'd say get in touch with Christian, and we can show you those kinds of assurances.
Okay. If anyone else has any other questions, please type them in chat. We'll give it another minute.
Okay. Well, I think we'll call this a wrap. We want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest in the product, and you guys are you're facing a lot of challenges now, especially in New Jersey here. A lot of you are dealing with Sandy issues still, and at the same time you have to keep up with technology and staying abreast of things, and of course competition all the time. Think of DataMotion as the secure mail product as being a competitive differentiator, again, to enhance your experience and your relationship with your client base, and also for you to stay on top of all the security things that are becoming really important to a lot of people.
Okay, that concludes today's presentation. Back to the basics, protect sensitive emails and files. Thank you and have a good day.